Hey guys, you know who it is, what's going on, when it's happening, where it's at, and why we're here today. How you doing? It is I, the sublimely magnificent Big Ugly himself, Omari Ellis Feo Grande on YouTube, back with some more movie talk as usual. We are here with another episode of this, what we've come to realize is more of a podcast type show, where we talk about things one or the other hasn't seen, and as usual, I am joined by one of my best friends in the world, El Director himself, Bill Smith. How you doing?
Hey, welcome. Thank you, Omari. Thank you, Omarikins. Omari, I'm coming in hot. I'm coming in ready with something. I need to speak on something real quick.
All right.
Because my name was brought up behind my back on another show. And Jazz, or AKA Super Jazz, SJ, JT, whatever you want, what have you, and the like, is wrong. And you were too kind to him. You were too kind to him. The Greatest Showman is a terrible movie. Jazz, you're on my list now. You made it on the list. You were too kind to that man. You gave him too much. That movie is bad, Jazz. Except that movie is bad. We all love Hugh Jackman.
Oh my God.
Hugh Jackman is not very good in that movie. It's okay. If you qualify that as looking good and acting good and visually good and sounding good, I question. And we don't need to dwell on it too long. I was brought up in a realm that I could not participate in.
Just had to get your message out there.
And I almost jumped in them comments. And I was like, no, Bill, wait. You have more power than the comments.
You do now.
Bring him up on your show.
There you go. But yes, that is right. This is
Anybody who's tracking, Jazz, Super Jazz, SJ, JT, whatever you want, what have you, and the like, is on the list.
With Nintendo Cats, I want to say.
Yeah, I don't know if I remember that, but put them on the list.
Nintendo Cats, not the play, maybe the play as well, but the species. And Super Jazz. I love the whole whatever you won't have you and the like as well.
Peel by the curtain. I typed that out to make sure that I got it right. And when you type it out, it's a really weird jumbling of words put together. It might be a phrase, it might be a sentence, it might be something Jazz invented. But when you just put the words out in a row, it's like, it's really weird looking.
Whatever you want, what have you, and the like.
But it
works.
I mean, he's a wordsmith. It falls out the mouth.
Yeah.
Like, I thought I needed to type it out, but I didn't even look. Like, the second you started, it just pours out your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
It's perfect.
List of colloquialisms, and it works.
But like I said, if you type out the words, it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, I've got the weird intro of my own, so I can't say nothing. It works out. Balances out. Anyway, this guy hasn't seen, where we generally talk about one thing that one guy has seen and the other hasn't, where we share various movies or pieces of pop culture with one another. And this week we have ourselves another movie, a comedy movie. And the movie is, well, what movie is that, since you're the one suggesting? What movie are we watching?
It is
this week?
the 2016 movie Popstar, Never Stop, Never Stopping, starring Andy Samberg, Akiva Schaffer, and Jorma Taccone, directed by Akiva and Jorma, written by Andy, Akiva, and Jorma. If you don't know those names, that is The Lonely Island, from obviously famous from SNL's Digital Shorts, and a comedy music group on their own right.
Awesome. I did not know the other two's real names. I definitely didn't know Jorma.
Jorma. I assume that's it. Jorma.
Sounds like a Yorma to me. I just did not know that. I knew about Andy Samberg, and I knew about the rest of the Lonely Island, which kind of helped roll into like the roles they ended up having in this movie, where it's like, oh hey, that. But yes, it's the mockumentary comedy about, you know, a pop star group / one of them becoming a solo artist, and the thing focusing around the solo artist of the comedy group. Well, they weren't comedy; they were serious. But nonetheless, you get my point.
Right.
But yeah, so how did you see this movie, Bill? Like, what made you like? When did you see this? What made you come across it?
I saw this a while ago, but definitely not new. Mm-hmm. But it was years ago. Just kind of like realized. I don't know if the talk had come up of it, because it didn't do well in theaters. It kind of flopped.
Okay.
In industry terms, and it's something that had more of a cult following as it lived on in DVDs and streaming services and stuff like that. And I eventually found it probably in the DVD realm, and love their work. Have since, you know, I'm a big. This was probably pre-Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I think this is shortly after SNL. I enjoyed the digital shorts, and I've always checked those out. Not really a follower of anything outside the digital shorts during their SNL run. And then was a big fan of their movie Hot Rod, which is way early on in their SNL career. And then also additionally a big fan of their Netflix movie about the Oakland Athletic Bash Brothers. Okay. And so at some point along the way, eventually found this movie, checked it out, loved it. Have seen it several times since then.
Cool.
And that would be probably why I recommended it. I thought that this was a movie that I had recommended a long while ago, and you had said you had seen, but double checked and ended up getting added to the list, and I'm happy it did.
Yeah, that is correct. Yeah, I had not seen it. I had not even heard of it. I was like, Popstar, never stop, never stopping. I'm like, haven't heard of it. Only star I remember was the Superstar. You know, from the 90s with Molly Shannon. You know, other SNL great. But yeah, I hadn't seen. That's why I hadn't seen it. I didn't even know it existed. But yeah, Lonely Island movie. I was like, yeah, that sounds cool. Show me up. As to what I was expecting, I was just like, you know, Lonely Island is a specific. They've got like a specific kind of comedy to them, where, you know, a lot of the stuff they do is like poking fun at tropes of certain things.
Right.
You know, or doing a trope ironically kind of weird. It's like unironic irony, if you will. Like, it's like, haha, we're doing this thing where the joke is that we're taking this silly thing so fucking serious, if you will. Mm-hmm. And so that's pretty much what I was expecting. I was expecting Lonely Island style jokes in a movie, and when I heard it was about, like, you know, a pop star, I was like, all right, I guess this is just a take on something else. Was not expecting it. I don't know if I thought mockumentary, but yeah, just hopping into initial reactions. Yeah, it was about what I expected. When it started off, they started with some kind of comedy rap thing that they were being uber serious about. Like I said, essentially it was, what if we took the Lonely Island, but instead of just being known as a comedy group, everyone took them as, like, seriously, this is
very serious music.
Very serious, very legit music. You had a lot of musicians playing themselves, talking about this other group on some, like, behind the music type shit. Mm-hmm. And then the main character, Connor For Real, who was just Big Connor in the group. They were the, not Island Boys, they were the Style Boys. They were, okay,
Kid Connor.
Kid Connor. Yeah,
Kid Connor, Kid Brain,
and Kid Lawrence. But yes, you had the three of them, and they were seen as a serious thing. And then Connor, when he broke off from the group because of reasons that we would eventually find out, semi-spoilers, Connor's an asshole. He decided to call himself Connor for real, and his solo career took off. While Owen, who I believe was Kid Brain in the group, Owen stayed with him just kind of as his DJ, because they had all been friends since they were kids. And even though they weren't in the big spotlight, Connor, when he changed his name to Connor for real and did his thing, Owen was like, this is still my buddy, I'm gonna stick with him. Lawrence and Connor had some creative differences, to say the least, and Lawrence eventually starts working on a farm, just like, this is my life now. It's good to be away from everybody. You know, the typical, it was about as what you expect from a mockumentary about a band.
Right. It was like a behind the music is that first 5 minutes or so to get us caught up to where you, like, this is where the documentary on Connor for real begins. Yes. His first album is out. He's a huge success. Maybe has had one other album. They don't go into great detail after that. We know the first album was gigantic, and like we're supposed to think. I would think, just like spoilers for a cameo deep into the movie. I think we're supposed to think like Justin Timberlake level. Like, what if Justin Timberlake left the Beastie Boys instead of NSYNC and became the biggest and became Justin Timberlake kind of thing? And so that's where the documentary basically opens up.
That's a good way to put it.
What's your initial reactions as we start going into it?
I always love it when celebrities make fun of themselves. And like Mariah Carey talking about how much she liked the song about being humble, where the guy's constantly really bragging about how humble he is. And she's just like, yeah, I loved, I'm humble because I've always considered myself a very humble person. And I'm like, even if I don't know Mariah Carey, obviously I don't know her personally, but even if she is really humble in real life, I don't think I know a single person that gets that from Mariah Carey. They get that vibe that she would be. And I'm not gonna say rightfully so, but at the same time, kind of rightfully so. She's very talented. At the end of the day, when you have a certain level of talent, you're going to know you have that level of talent. Now, you don't need to be a dick about it, but at the same time, it's hard to be like, I'm terrible, when literally everybody knows how good you are.
Yeah.
And that's Mariah Carey just on a basic level, but shit like that, I was laughing. But like I said, it was, in a good way, it was exactly what I was expecting once I realized it was a mockumentary. A lot of the points that they got to in the story were kind of story beats you'd expect. It's like, oh, he had the big solo career. This next album is probably going to flop, as these are usually go. The fucking opening the fridge, or when they decide to do the release, we talked about it. We joked around before it came on, but the whole thing with him on like Instagram or whatever they were using back in 2016,
right?
Just being like, "Hey fam, got the new album coming out. We're surprise releasing it next Thursday at noon. Look out for it." and I love the line, "Surprise release next Thursday at noon."
Yeah.
Also, Tim Meadows. We talk about Tommy Davidson and how he's in a lot of stuff. No one ever talked about him. I like Tim Meadows as well. Tim Meadows
is a hero. Mm-hmm. He comes in and he does the grunt work of the character. Like on the page, almost every character that he steps, like the other key one that I think of is Mean Girls. when he plays the principal. It's just on the page. It's just, a thing that you have to have because this is a high school. Like he has, like, this is a documentary about a pop star, so you got to have the manager.
Yeah.
But he's so fucking funny in everything. I feel like he's one of those people that you could hand him a phone book and he will destroy you just by like reading the phone book.
Yeah.
Just from a cadence or pauses or tones. He's a master.
Tony.
He's there with I think you're exactly right. He may be a little bit more credited than Tommy Davidson because of the SNL career. Like you got SNL over In Living Color, and he does these kind of roles a lot. Like the problem with Tim Meadows is has he ever gotten a chance to lead? Does he even want to? I mean, maybe does he even want to do that? Because at this point, you'd think he would have at least gotten the one shot.
No, he wasn't the ladies' man, or was he?
Yeah, he was the ladies' man.
Yeah, he was the ladies' man. That was
that's like an SNL character movie.
It's an SNL character movie, but that's also me just trying to think of like.
But that's
lead roles that he would have had. I can't. I'm like,
Tim Meadows is great and does a great job in
lead
this.
role, but it's not a lot of them, and he should be because he's great. But then again, he's great at what he's doing, and if he's like, hey, this is the lane I want to be in, and I kill at it, I can't fault anybody for that as well.
I do, and you are gonna like it.
What was that? Aren't or are gonna like?
Are.
You aren't.
Which brings in a great segue into another supporting character outside of the Lonely Island boys in this film, and that is, let me make sure, Chris Redd.
Chris Redd is his name? Is the actor's name?
Yeah, Chris Redd, who I believe is also from our hometown of St. Louis, Missouri.
Okay.
And he's playing a very Tyler, the Creator, Childish Gambino-esque rapper on the like fringe, cool indie scene kind of thing of that time. You know what I'm saying? Like he's very he's sometimes it's almost too on the nose of the Tyler the Creator. Like the songs are like Tyler the Creator spoofs almost. But he does a great job in what he has to do here, I feel. And like again, the songs, like they're great. For me, these are addition to being hilarious at times, are what the kids would call bangers.
Yeah,
I believe they would be bangers for me. I'm someone who likes to work with shit in my ears. I'm usually listening to a podcast or music, and there is a set of albums for me that are just my like zone out, delete the world, hammer through some work music. And this album is on that rotation because I think a lot of it is just very solid.
Yeah, there are some good ones in this one, and obviously we were talking about one before we started, the song, "Fuck Bin Laden" or "Fucked Bin Laden,"
right?
Which
I've learned through a family member is apparently a pretty big song in and amongst active troops stationed abroad, which is hilarious. It's just probably just because there are several points in the song where you are compelled to group chant "Fuck Bin Laden."
Yeah, and definitely, I could see that. There's just like a celebratory song. Anyways, like she wanted me to fuck her just like the U.S. government fucked Bin Laden. Like, yeah, USA, we did that. Military precision. Anyway, so that was hilarious. I did not know this movie is where that song came from. I had first heard it via someone reacting to the song, and I'm like, I've listened to a good amount of Lonely Island, and I don't remember this song. What? So that's how little I knew about this movie's existence.
Well, there are versions of several of these songs on YouTube, I believe, shot as if they were the music videos for Connor for Real. So as opposed to just them being extended segments of the film or something like that, it is separate. Like I believe Vanessa Bayer from SNL fame is the girl. Okay. In the music video who wants Connor for Real to fuck her like the U.S. government fucked Bin Laden. So you could easily have seen this video and interpreted it very easily as just a Lonely Island music video. Look at Andy Samberg doing some weird character of with the haircut and
definitely like something they would do. Just as a normal Lonely Island song, and so I would not have questioned it one bit. But yes, and that's what it is. They do that kind of thing where it's like, people make songs like this, so we're gonna make a song that's parodying that whole thing, but we're also making a lot of money off of it and being successful with it. So where does the joke end, and where does the actual, performer begin type shit? And that's what I was saying. They have that kind of comedy to them. I also love the fact that you have so many celebrities playing themselves except for Justin Timberlake in this movie about the singing thing.
And Emma Stone. Did you spot Emma Stone's very brief cameo?
Which one was Emma Stone?
She is the pop star that does the song "Turn Up the Beef."
Oh,
that jump started Connor for Real's solo career because he featured on there with what is now the legendary catchphrase verse. And then that's what, like Omari said. Then you jump to literally Nas talking to camera, being like, "Man, when the catchphrase verse dropped, it was like he just rewrote the game, and I had to start from scratch."
And like it was either 50 Cent or somebody else is talking about. Usually with a rap song, you might get one, maybe two catchphrases, in the whole song. This man had a whole verse of like 30 of them.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
It is. But
you want to just jump into standout moments, start throwing out songs?
Just throw out songs and other stuff or moments. I love the fact when we talked about Tim Meadows' character. I love the little mini backstory thing. The Tony. But they all had exclamation points, but I had a question mark. So it was Tony? In hindsight, that probably wasn't the best decision. But as they show them, like, cut him off and just keep the other toe. But that shit was funny. The cuts to the other former members, like the cuts to fucking dude on the barn, like being like pissed off or whatever, just in his little side life, like, I wrote the catchphrase verse, he ain't right shit, blah blah blah, but whatever, I'm just here with my friggin' animals and stuff, and like getting splinters, like, while you're like, but it's a simple life, but it's a good life. Like, he
tried his own solo career with Things in My Jeep.
Oh yes.
Where he literally just
didn't really relate to me because what he had in his Jeep, I didn't have in my Jeep.
Again, Nas. Like, how did you get Nas to do this?
They had Usher talking about them being the reason
why I dance is because of the donkey roll.
I'm like,
let me see you donkey roll.
I'm like, oh my goodness. I did like the coming full circle with that. Like at the end, Usher like this. I'm like, God damn it, Usher.
Yeah, it's great.
It's hilarious. Fucking the TMZ sketches or CMZ, that's pretty much how I see TMZ. Like, I don't really watch them, but
if anybody has ever seen the like TMZ TV show, that is the most amazing takedown of that show ever that exists. I'm sure there's a bunch of parodies out there. I can't imagine one being better than that, because very few times are you gonna get like Will Arnett and Eric Andre and Chelsea Peretti and Mike Birbiglia.
Oh yeah.
Like all like five
hilarious people.
Like not only are they hilarious entertainers, but they're all also brilliant writers.
True.
So like, that's such a great sketch.
Just the pretentious laughing and stuff. It's just like, they are very annoying at TMZ. That is exactly about how.
Because that's not something I normally would think of when I think of this movie, and it really is. It's a great
set of segments. The proposal when he got with Ashley Wednesday, and he decided to propose to her to try to change his image after the prank that may or may not have been pulled on him, because he had the whole costume switching gimmick, and he's like, this is normally made for women, because of men you get tangled up in the undergarment. So he's like, I know what I'll do. I'll tuck my shit back and tape it so that the changing could be easy. But when he tried to go into his tux outfit, when it came down, he was just straight up naked, but he was tucked behind, so he had the whole, if you've seen was it Clerks 2, where freaking Jay from Jay and Silent Bob was doing that thing with the mangina?
Correct. And that moment is inspired from Silence of the Lambs.
Okay. Yes.
Is that an Omari hasn't seen?
Silence of the Lambs, fava beans.
And a nice Chianti.
Yeah. Technically, I haven't seen the whole movie, but I'm aware of the big major pop cultural references from the movie. Your Buffalo Bill.
I think Buffalo. Now you got me questioning it. I don't know. I don't know what I would have said before you gave me those two options. It probably would have been one of those two options, but now I have no idea.
I know Buffalo Bill was a cowboy.
Right. So Buffalo Bob, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking you're right. Yeah.
So yeah, Buffalo Bob lotion and all of that.
Anyways, that's that. He tucked. It was a big prank. Terrible publicity. Which is a terrible moment. He's sitting there screaming on stage because he really wants to show them that he does have a penis, but then he would be exposing himself to thousands of people.
Exactly, and then
which would be illegal.
And he would also get in trouble for, it'd be illegal, and they just make a big uproar. Artist shows his junk on stage and blah 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 blah. So he's kind of damned if he do, damned if he don't in that moment.
Yeah.
And talking to Hungry Hunter, who was Chris Red's role backstage, Hungry Hunter's like, man, that's a great prank. Now, if you had to be the king of all pranks to think of something like that, which, I kind of am, so maybe I did it, but I didn't, but maybe I did, but I didn't, or did I? Like, that shit was hilarious, and I think later he's like, it was me.
Right, yeah, I did it. He tries to make up for that terrible press by engaging to his girlfriend Ashley Wednesday, complete with a pack of wolves on chains.
Her spirit animal.
Because they're her spirit animal, and also Seal remixing his already popular song Mona Lisa.
Yes.
Which in itself is a very hilarious song about how he hates the Mona Lisa. He calls her a garbage pail kid.
How does anyone like this?
calls her like a shriveled potato.
He insults that fucking picture, and it's hilarious. But yeah, so
uncooked bread. He calls the Mona Lisa a pile of uncooked bread. I was trying to play it back to pull one of the lines.
Oh,
so yeah,
man.
Seal does a song about Ashley Wednesday and how she's the best thing. And unfortunately, Seal's vocal range hits a certain resonance tone that the Wolves do not like. We have a cameo from the comedian Paul Scheer as the wolf trainer to inform the folks that we gotta stop Seal from singing. These wolves are going crazy.
You can't stop Seal. Can't stop the wolves. No.
Obviously, wolves break free.
Break free, attack everybody, including Seal. Now he's got Seal suing him. And then his
Andy steals his girl.
Yeah, then his girl leaves him for Seal.
Yeah.
Just rock bottom, sequence. Which you knew was gonna happen. You knew you were gonna get the rock bottom scene. These things always happen. I like the fucking helmet he got because, like I said, his one of his buddies stayed with him. It was just his DJ who produced all his beats on his first hit album, but kind of got pushed further to the background for the second album because he's like, I gotta have this better. So I got 17 different producers and this many new writers and all this stuff. But he got him a cool like Daft Punk style, well not Daft Punk style, but you know they got the electronica helmets. He got him one that was actually kind of cool. It didn't really
like
need
a Galactus kind of riff.
Yeah, it didn't necessarily need the homing beacon out the top of it, but it was also kind of cool that it had it, and then it had the fucking whoa sound that it made.
The war horn.
I like this helmet. If someone had someone with on stage, that guy would be. I would love that DJ just because I'm like, this dude's hilarious. Look at him. Yeah. So when Tim Meadows and them were like talking about it, I was like, I know dude may not want to wear that helmet, and I get it, but that is a cool helmet. If I was
not gonna lie, it's a cool helmet.
Like if I was the DJ for somebody, especially if all I had to do was play an iPad, which. Lol. If all I had to do was play an iPod and I got to be on stage, I would probably wear a helmet like that. Just cause, yeah, I'm fine with being the mascot character.
I feel like they could fill it out a little bit inside. It looked like there was like a lot of jockeying room.
Yeah, we would have to make it work, but it's still a helmet I would not mind wearing on stage. If provided it was wearable, because he did eventually complain like, hey, this is starting to hurt my back. Right, yeah. Can we stop wearing this helmet?
And every time he takes it off, he's dripping with sweat. He is like dripping, soaked. Fast forward, when he does get a chance to solo, he has a really hilarious solo song that you can tell, like, it is showing us, the audience, every reason why he should work with Connor. Because right now at this moment, Connor's only been an awful dick to him, and you want him to be able to fly solo. And you hear his song, and it's just like a cluttered mess of too much things, because there's nobody there to like edit him down. Obviously, like he needs a partner to edit him down. And then he starts playing a beautiful piano riff after he ends the cluttery stuff, and he starts singing about birds, and it's terrible and pitchy and all over the place. So that's a great scene. That's a standout scene for me. And obviously Sandberg with his full disguise for public to be like an average Joe, which is like a giant clown nose, giant fake chin and lips, and a fake beard. I think they call him like a nuclear, like an irradiated Jason Segel or something
like that. Nazi propaganda, just random stuff. Oh yeah, that was another thing because he was like, "That's offensive." And one of the things he said was offensive, like during the thing, was when he mentioned one of his early songs off of this new album about like in support of gay marriage, but he was trying so hard to prove he was not gay while making a song trying to be pro-gay that it was just offensive because every other letter was like not gay. Or he'll say
Beer
something
City's
like
not gay.
sports. Like sports. I'm straight. You're gay. That's Pink singing along with them. But no, that was hilarious. Obviously, I was sad when the turtle died. I was like, not the turtle. The turtle didn't do nothing.
Why you gotta kill the turtle on us, Maximus? R.I.P.
Yeah. Mix. Oh yeah, I almost said Mix. I meant to say Rip Maximus. Yeah, R.I.P. Maximus. But yeah, eventually, even though Owen tries to get them to make up at one time between Connor and Lawrence, which doesn't work out well, and you have that whole scene with them being swarmed, surrounded by people, and the gags involved with that. Definitely
Penis on the windshield.
Penis on the windshield, and the titties on the windshield, both of them. The titties were nice, and whatever. Moving on, but they couldn't get back together. They come back.
I'm gonna say the penis was nice too. It looked like a nice penis.
Fair enough.
I'd be proud to have that penis.
Fair enough.
One of us is strong enough to say it.
I don't know if I'd be proud enough to have it. I don't know. I didn't like size compare or nothing. But yeah, fair enough. I commend the individual for being willing to do that. Just go on there and like, haha, this is gonna be seen by millions for all eternity. My dick has been immortalized on camera. Good for them.
No face.
No face. But hey.
Even better a little bit.
Yeah. It's like, this is my dick. Whether or not you like it, who cares? You don't know it's mine. I know it's mine. If you do like it, I'll tell you. If you don't, yeah, that dude was weird. But yeah, so they didn't really get back together because of the failed parent trap thing, which of course it wasn't gonna work out, but I thought it was funny that he tried it.
Yeah, Connor immediately was like, are you trying to parent trap us right now? Dude, you're totally parent trapping us.
No. So that was cool, but eventually they do get the whole apology scene, and I liked how Connor was just like one-sided conversation, those things, which is always a funny bit, but much like I would expect out of them, they took it a lot longer than it needed to be, but it was in a funny way, where he just kept going like, yeah, so yes, I know, I was in traffic that day, okay? All right, I wasn't in traffic, but I overslept. I didn't on purpose. I overslept on purpose, and so
it was a power move. I was trying to do a power move.
He just said all this stuff. He just kept.
But once I got there, I put in an 8-hour day. You know what? I left early. Hold on. Nope, I didn't show up at all. Now I remember. I didn't show up at all. But I came in the next day. No, I didn't. I went to Miami or something like that.
Just eventually got to the I'm sorry. And then they made up and everything. They turned the Poppy, which is pretty much their Grammy equivalent in this alternate universe. They turned the Poppy Award into a bong and smoked out of that because it turned out the farm that Lawrence had was a weed farm. And also that he had a lot of people working for him on said farm, like doing stuff, as opposed to just what the documentary had shown before, where it's like, yes, just a solo farming life for me. I'm doing all of this stuff. And it's like, nope, he's actually got tons of people working for him. Like, that makes a bit more sense considering he was rich when he was with the Style Boys, that he could hire people to run his farm. But they eventually decided to get back together because there was a big fallout between Owen and Andy Samberg's character, Connor. once he started realizing his music was flopping, he kept having all these PR bad moves, and eventually started not trusting the people around him, especially because of Hungry Hunter, with the whole planning the prank and also just purposely trying to upstage him by making his opening act go too long and all of this shit. So he's like, I'm gonna try and prove who actually is there for me as one of my friends and not just a yes man. So he feeds them the fucking literal dog shit pancakes to see which one of them will actually tell him that it tastes terrible. And I'm like, there's better ways to do that. You want to feed people shitty tasting pancakes, you don't have to put literal shit in them.
Yeah, just put like a bunch of salt in it or something.
Put something that makes it not taste good and is still, edible. But that
at the end of it, they cut to one of the people that's on Connor's staff, the female that they cut to, who's just always looking at her phone, is just still looking at her phone, and she's like halfway deep into a plate of those pancakes, and then Yorma and Andy have a eye contact moment of like, what the fuck?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, well, and then Yorma storms out. But yeah, it's just a great little quick side gag.
But I like them.
Yeah, that was a great moment.
Yeah, and I like them getting back together, and then they have the whole thing where they decide, hey, surprise, surprise, Taylor Swift got arrested for murder. You get to perform at the Poppies, and he's like, hey, we just came back. We kind of reconciled as a group, and he's like, I got 6 minutes. I can do a Connor for Real song and then surprise people with the Style Boys coming out as well. But due to some stuff there, they only have like 3 minutes. But one of the things I loved in that scene before they got to that was, you see Hungry Hunter, he has a terrible thing on stage where he's trying to be extra corporate and plotting and pumping up the Aquaspin appliances,
right,
and cussing out Mariah Carey and pissing her off, which very bad PR move. But then he yells,
don't fuck with Mariah.
Exactly, and then he yells at Tim Meadows' character, his manager backstage, and Tim Meadows quits and all of that stuff. But it was funny because Hungry Hunter had his own documentary group. And he's like trying to talk to him, like, hey, you got the doc, I got the doc. We both got the documentaries going. Sorry. And then he tries to turn to the camera and keep his documentary going. And they're like, no, we're not your dudes. We're Connors. Oh, okay. Turns to another camera, like, well, anyway, this is also, they're like, we're not yours either. And it just turns and it's, surprise, motherfucker. This is Snoop Dogg. And this is my new show. Surprise, motherfucker, with Snoop Dogg. You've been surprised, motherfucker. And I was just like, yes. Perfect. Surprise motherfucker with Snoop Dogg needs to be an actual show. You've been surprised.
I mean, the network that it was on is his real Twitch and YouTube network.
Oh, is it?
So, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, his I think he's got channels on both of those that are called GGN.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't know if you've ever been on his Twitch, but that's interesting in and of its own right. He just plays Madden and rage quit and everything. Or he'll get, maybe not rage quit, but bang it on shit. One time he threw a controller. There was a meme a while back of Snoop just where they took something from that where something would happen and Snoop just, damn it, fuck. There's also times where he would leave himself muted and not realize it, and the chat's just like, Snoop, you're muted. Snoop, you're muted. And he's just not paying attention. Or early on, he would leave it on for like hours after he was done streaming. He would just be gone. The camera would stay on and just stream in the empty room, and he eventually come back like, oh shit.
I got 2,000 viewers of an empty room.
Which, of course, you would. It's Snoop, and people are just like, oh, this is hilarious. Snoop left his stream on. Let's see what happens. But Snoop.
No, yeah, this
Snoop.
would have been back around that time. GGN was a thing, and he was there was consistent videos getting posted on YouTube of him like interviewing random people or having smoke sessions with like Seth Rogen or something like that, and doing a bunch of different videos under the GGN moniker.
Okay, but yeah,
I don't know what that stood for.
That was funny. And then, of course, when it came down to having, now you have half the time, you can only do a Connor for Real song or a Style Boy song. Naturally, he chose to do one with the Style Boys, and he had the little fake out because he started off with an acapella version of Fuck Bin Laden, but instead of saying that, he just went, I'm a style boy for life, and they were having fun. You know, you cut back to your Nas's and folks like, man, that's what everybody wanted, man. The Style Boys is the shit, blah, 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 blah. And then the Fish started singing, and the second the Fish started singing, I'm like, that's gonna be Justin. Finally getting to be Justin kinda in the movie, and then sure enough he was still whatever his character's name was, but he's like, it was me, I was the Fish. And he had like somebody like, man, whoever
like
that
Connor's
fish was,
personal chef or whatever.
Yeah, someone's like, whoever that fish was, I want to know who was in the fish costume. And it just cuts to that thing, and it's Justin like, it was me. I'm like, you didn't even need to tell me that. I knew that was Justin.
Yeah.
Like, who else is that gonna be?
Yeah, who else is that falsetto?
That's
a Justin falsetto.
And earlier in the movie, he was like trying to sing to himself, and while he was like making the food, and like, yo, shut the fuck up, man. No one wants to hear that shit. I'm sorry. And of course, we mentioned Usher on stage at the end. That was cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But yeah, any other standout moments and shit?
I think we hit a lot. We hit a lot of them. I think we hit plenty. There's a lot of great stuff in there. I would recommend anybody who enjoyed this movie, I would recommend going to the album on Spotify, because the songs are in full length, and then you have even more songs that they made for the movie that just didn't make it into the movie or are in the movie for a split second.
Fair enough. Sorry.
Did you just notice that you have new lines?
I don't know about new lines, but
some deep laugh lines.
I guess those would be laugh lines.
those are the laugh lines.
But yes, it was just weird. Sometimes I make a joke about this.
My fellow not musically inclined brethren.
Yes.
What role would you like to play in this movie
where you gotta be
about musical
inclined.
artists?
So I wouldn't mind being anybody, but Hungry Hunter, I just the second I saw him with his like fucking crazy eyes and shit, and his just yelling about fuck you, you hate me, blah blah blah, his initial rap, I'm like, that would be just hilarious and fun to play. Owen was also just the, haha, the mascot, I'm just here to support you, buddy. I was like, I could pull off something like that. At the same time, it's weird because I've always had this weird way of looking at myself where we've been part of groups together and stuff like that, and I've always been one of those things where I simultaneously could see myself, where I see myself more as an Owen, whereas I need these other guys, if I'm going to get anywhere and all this stuff. But I've always seen myself, if I were to make a mockumentary about the groups that I'm in, I've always self-cast myself as a Sandberg. Connor. I've always seen myself as a Connor for mockumentary purposes, even though I don't think I'm a Connor level, talent.
Didn't we almost make a mockumentary about the Orange Cast?
I think so.
In this vein, like very similar.
Probably, yes. And I have a group. When I mentioned on some other form of the internet, it might have been whatever we want, but I had a karaoke thing with my friends where every week we would go, and this is back when Rock Band was big, about a decade ago. And we would go every week and we would perform as a group, the Velocifalcons. And while the drummer and guitarist pretty much stayed the same for every role, my buddy, who I refer to as Jeff on the other show, Jeff and I would switch between bass and vocals for Rock Band. And we eventually thought about making a documentary with that about the Velocifalcons. And I was already like, I want to be the guy who is the front man that gets wrapped up in drugs and alcohol. And that's why. Because I just pictured myself like with like a bottle of booze. Well, the bottle would be booze, but it'd be like apple juice or something. And then just like during like a guitar solo or something, just mid-performance, just like drink the whole fucking bottle. And then, like,
I'm gonna need you to go method. We're gonna need to be method on my set.
Whatever, that's fine. So
it means real whiskey.
Fair. Well, maybe not. Well, there'd be some in there, but the bottom line is, if I have no problem being drunk to method, but chugging an entire bottle of alcohol would kill me.
Accurate.
That's the only reason why I said it'd probably be for the chugging scene, but other scenes, sure.
Joking.
But like, Highway Star by Deep Purple.
Sure.
All right, so they have a solo where there's a thing where it's like, and then it goes, and it kind of like dies down, and then they do that again. So I had always pictured like chug a bottle or something like that, and then just pull up another bottle, and it cuts away like, yeah, Omari was having a problem. He was just drinking it. One of those things like his drinking started to get a little out of hand, and that'd be the cut, like just on stage. And fall over or some shit. But no, so yeah. I wouldn't mind playing any of these, but like you mentioned, there's the whole not musically inclined aspect of my real life character. I'd have to take some vocal lessons or something, but if I were to play the Connor, but Hungry Hunter would be fine or something like that. Mm-hmm. Just being fucking crazy and like that'd be fun.
Yeah. I agree with you on your picks for you. For me, I would happily take any of the walk-in cameos on this movie. I don't want to replace Tim Meadows in any way, but I would also happily just like be on set to watch him work. Yeah. I'm very fascinated in that. If he's got a million, is he a guy who does a million takes? Is he switching up his delivery every take to find? And do you find Tim Meadows in the edit, or does he walk on take one already knowing that perfect weird little tone shift or delivery that's going to make that line that much extra funny? I'd love to see any of that in action.
I agree. So, that he would be fantastic to work with.
Yep. Just
for pure, like you said, appreciation of the craft.
Absolutely. I think both of us seem to enjoy ourselves. Yeah. But do you have a general final thought on Popstar? Never Stop, Never Stopping.
Hilarious. It's a hilarious movie. I had times where I laughed. I definitely would watch it again. And there's somewhere some of these I've watched. I'm like, I would watch it again. I'm not exactly sure when I would watch it again, but I'd watch it again. And this is not necessarily like that. I still wouldn't be like, I'm gonna go rewatch it again right after this or some shit. But definitely a good one. Definitely one I would recommend to other people if they just want to sit back and laugh. Not necessarily gotta look for no Oscar level shit. But if you like Lonely Island, check out this movie. If you like laughing, check out the movie too. But definitely, if you're a fan of Lonely Island's brand of comedy, this is a movie I would recommend to people.
Yep, I wholeheartedly agree with that. Again, I would send anybody that is interested to the Spotify playlist. I would also send anybody who's interested to Netflix, where they have an exclusive film over there that is something the unauthorized Bash Brothers experience. And it's another just kind of ridiculous not mockumentary, but just kind of a mockery of 80s steroid baseball. And if you're a Lonely Island fan or if you're a baseball fan, you're going to love it.
Okay.
And that's it. I love this movie. That's why I recommended it.
Well, there we have it. That's Popstar, Never Stop, Never Stopping. And yeah, both very thoroughly enjoyed it. And so, Bill, it is October. We're like into October at this point. It's that time for it's that spooky season where things get scary for people, whether real life or otherwise. Some people, in real life have birthdays during the month of October, and we have to deal with the scary prospect of getting a year older, one step closer to the grave. But we're not going to focus necessarily on that, but we will focus on other spooky things. So I guess for the next movie I had was
Isn't every step one step closer to the grave?
Or to the edge, and I'm about to break. Yes. So I was thinking of the movie Tales from the Hood.
Tales from the Hood.
Yes.
All right.
Got some cool people in it. It's a spooky stories type deal, kind of like a Tales from the Crypt, but Tales from the Hood. It should be fun. Watch that. We'll see that with our next week. If you want to watch us anywhere else, obviously we have other videos on this channel. Well, where we talked about other things. Last week was Con Air, and Con Air was awesome. We talked
At one point we discussed The Greatest Showman.
Yes.
Jazz Tucker, aka Super Jazz, aka SJ, JT, whatever you want, what have you, and the like.
Indeed. Yes, The Greatest Showman, not the greatest movie. To say the least.
Get him!
Is it? No.
Get him! Get him!
You can also find me elsewhere on YouTube, including where I'm talking with Super Jazz on the Whatever We Want.
Super Jazz!
That's right, on the Whatever We Want podcast. New episodes every week, every Wednesday. You can also find me on Twitter and Twitch at Giotavi. That is Giotavi. Come on in. Stop on by. Thank you very much. Bill, you got anything you want to say to people? Any shout outs for everybody? All right. Well, thank you guys very much for watching. Y'all have a good one. We'll see you next week.
I started waving too early.
Adiosness. I wasn't going to say anything.